Chalamet and Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, and he's terrific in it. He's terrific. And apparently now wants to be an actor.
I thought he already was one.
Well, he can fund his own movies, that's for sure.
And you mentioned last time that we did not acknowledge Marisol.
Yeah, that's correct. We didn't.
Yeah.
But Marisol's right here.
Marisol is in her little snuggle cave, and she's very good.
She is terrific.
Like, she doesn't bark.
Which is a good thing, because I don't know if you've ever been on camera or on stage with a dog, but believe me, when you are, no one is looking at you.
Oh, right.
Absolutely no one.
I remember I brought Blondie, my old Chihuahua who was before he passed away.
Blondie.
Yeah, you remember Blondie.
Sure.
You knew Blondie almost her entire life. And I brought her to set one day, and then it turned into multiple days. And I remember looking over and I'm operating, and first of all, everyone was focused on her, but she had made a home on the script supervisor's lap. Because that was arguably the most sedentary position on the set.
Yeah, always.
Because she's just scripty. And so for those of you that don't know, what exactly does a script supervisor do?
Well, takes notes from the director, circles which takes are done, and it very, very significantly helps the actors when they have to do pickup shots to remind them exactly where were your hands, where was your expression, what were you looking at. She is responsible for helping, anyway, sight lines with the actors and reminding the director and helping the director avoid crossing the line. And, script supervising is a complicated job for which there is training available, and good script supervisors are extremely important because her notes, or his notes, I say her because it's often a woman, but with American History X, we had a terrific guy who was script supervisor. Their notes on which take to do and what the director had to say about the take go into the editing room, and the editor has them to work with. Yeah. So script supervisor is very important on the set, but you're right. Sedentary may be an exaggeration, but script supervisors sit with big folder of the script on their lap. They're not jumping up very often.
No, they're not. But anyways, Blondie found a home with her, and that was. But I looked over and I just was like, oh, my little child. And Marisol has found her home. All right. Many people have commented on Heaven Can Wait.
Have they?
They have.
Well, it's a very good film. Mm-hmm. I recommend that you watch it.
I need to check it out. And as far as award shows, and I know that we are talking about award shows, first of all, I was filming last night, so I unfortunately all the times when these things are on, I'm usually on a set. But then I also have this sort of love-hate relationship with like award shows or like sketchy. And I know SNL is brilliant. I am not an avid watcher of SNL. I'll watch the clips sometimes on YouTube, but I'm not like really into it. I don't know why. Sometimes it just kind of irks me a little bit. It has nothing to do with politics or anything that they're saying. The kitschiness of it, or the sort of, I don't.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about this because of the death of Catherine O'Hara this week.
Yeah.
I was thinking about comedy on television because I'm not generally a comedy on television fan. In fact, I can probably destroy my own credibility in this podcast by acknowledging that I really don't watch comedy sitcoms. I mean, even the best ones.
Did you ever see Schitt's Creek?
I've never seen a single episode of Schitt's Creek. I have never watched Seinfeld. I've seen sections of Seinfeld and maybe full episodes because it became so famous, but I did not tune in to that show. I like comedy, but I like, and again, now I'm probably slitting my own throat, I love Woody Allen's comedy. Now,
I love Woody Allen, despite what do you think of him. And our good friend Barbara Koppel made Wild Man Blues with Woody Allen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that kind of wry, dry comedy. But I remember I saw the first season of Saturday Night Live 50 years ago. And I have been a fan ever since. There have been up and down seasons. But I generally, I don't mind. I like sketch comedy because it's short and it's quick and it's over. And if it's good, it's very, very funny. And by the way, since you watch clips on YouTube, let me recommend from the other nights, the most recent Saturday Night Live. Go on YouTube and look at the Mom Confesses skit.
Oh, I didn't see that, but I did see that Pete. What's his name? Why is
Stellan Skarsgård? Son, Alexander.
Oh,
was the host.
He was the host. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I realized that the people who are on SNL are absolutely tremendously gifted.
Many of them, not all, but many.
But I mean, it's such work to get on that show. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's wild. So it's no disrespect to them. I sometimes I can't get into it. I don't know. I did read this article the other day that when Timothée Chalamet performed on the show, Lorne Michaels offered him the hosting gig. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, I also want to do the music. And Lorne Michaels said, no way. And then he said, okay, I'm not going to do the show. And he was saying in this interview how he paid over, six figures to be on the show to perform the music. And so I was thinking, well, why do you do that? Because he had to pay for the stage and the band and the setup and the rehearsals, and he paid for everything. And probably, I didn't get this far into the Apple News article, but I think that he probably had to cover the royalties for the songs that he played because they were Bob Dylan songs. I'm sure those were not cheap. So I'm sure Lauren was like, yeah, you're not playing Bob Dylan songs. And he was like, well, I'll pay for it.
That's what I'm doing.
But what a smart move for him to do that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he was so good in A Complete Unknown. I am deeply impressed by Timothée Chalamet.
He's so talented.
I think I predicted last time that he's likely to win the Oscar this year. I'm not allowed to say who I'm going to vote for. But I tend to really, really like Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, and I'm very inclined to consider him most seriously as Best Actor. But nevertheless, when I saw Marty Supreme, I was just really amazed at how diverse this actor's performances are.
Yeah,
Dune and Call Me by Your Name and. Marty Supreme compared to Bob Dylan, the guy is truly an artist. He's truly an artist who, in the tradition of the actors that emerged in the early 70s, like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, he really, really gives himself over. He has egoless performances. Timothée Chalamet is gone, and what you're seeing is a character. And that used to be true of Al Pacino, not so much in the latter part of his career. His personality's taken over, and it's such a kind of a powerful one that it works. And I'm a great fan of Al Pacino. But De Niro, you notice, still disappears into a role.
Yeah.
Chalamet disappears, and that's the kind of acting I really admire.
Yeah, and speaking of disappearing, and I was thinking about this today because the movie is nominated, I believe, in some category, but Begonia and Emma Stone's performance.
Begonia is nominated for Best Picture.
Oh, it is. That's right. Okay.
And Emma Stone is nominated for Best Actress. Jessie Plemons was neglected by the Academy, but BAFTA, the British Academy, nominated Jessie Plemons for Best Actor.
Yeah, and what a... She disappears in that role.
Oh, she disappears in any role she takes on.
Sure, but I mean...
She is unbelievably gifted. Yeah. She is a Meryl Streep level actress, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we talked about her last week, so we can...
But I just saw Begonia, and I was just taken aback by it, because I just think that I was expecting something completely different than what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
I think probably everybody was, but I was ready for this QAnon craziness, which was, and I loved, they shot it in like an open gate, which we use in cinematography that uses all the frame, but it's like a 3:2 format. But it really immerses you in the look of the film, especially on the close-ups. The background just disappears.
Well, the close-ups are so memorable from that. Those close-ups on Jessie's face and on her face, and particularly in that long dialogue, those several long dialogues that they have together. Their faces are just emerge out of the screen. It's like you're watching it in 3D, which
Yeah.
it's not in 3D, but yeah, very memorable images.
Yeah.
She's a brilliant actress. And Jesse Plemons is quite outstanding too. Also the young boy, by the way, who had never acted before, Jesse's partner.
Oh yeah. The kid.
Very,
he was really good.
very
too.
moving performance. Very good.
Very believable.
Yeah.
I just want to close the loop and just say something. Schitt's Creek is arguably the best television show I've ever seen in my life. The best TV comedy. It is just, Norman Lear level.
Well, I'm a fan of Katherine O'Hara from the things that I have seen her in, which is all of the movies, Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman and all the Christopher Guest movies.
Waiting for Guffman.
Hilarious. His whole ensemble of actors is reliably strong, and she was outstanding amongst them. But reading everything I've been reading about her, I mean, I mourned her death, and I was her fan, and I was very sorry.
Terrible.
But I wasn't as familiar with her work as many other people are. But now I want to go watch Schitt's Creek, and I know that it's available to be screened online. I believe in streaming.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix still.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And she was just in the studio, which is coming back for a second season.
She was terrific in the studio.
It's
She was terrific in the studio, which is a comedy that I have watched.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because I'm such a fan of Seth Rogen.
Yeah. And now Marisol, she took a little drink of water, and now she's coming back to her little...
She's so well behaved.
She really is. Which is also a miracle, considering she's my dog. Oh, boy. All right, so you have some things for me. We closed the loop on Schitt's Creek. You're going to watch it. It's fantastic. What do you got for me?
Well, I just was thinking about the nominations. And Begonia, of course. The 10 films nominated for the Academy Award are Begonia, F1, the Formula One race movie, Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, Hamnet, which is Chloe Zhao's adaptation of a novel about William Shakespeare and his wife and the death of their son, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, which we discussed last week, Sentimental Value, which we discussed last week, both international films nominated, Sinners, which I want to chat a little bit about, and Train Dreams, another adaptation of a novel. Anyway, of these Best Picture nominees, I have thoughts about each of the films. But today, I was thinking particularly about Sinners, and how strong it is in so many ways. For those, I think probably everybody has seen Sinners, or most people watching this podcast would have seen Sinners, but it's a story about the African-American experience during the Jim Crow era here in the United States. The Jim Crow era was the period from the late 19th century, like 1890, through about 1960, when so many laws were passed based on the concept of separate but equal. And, it's okay to segregate as long as the facilities offered on each side are equal. Of course, the problem was they were nothing like equal. Facilities offered to African-American, black people, colored people, as they were called during this period of time, sucked. They were terrible. It was shameful. And, of course, there was a lot of violence committed against them. Sinners is set during this period. And what's so smart about Ryan Coogler's script and direction is that he tells the story through a supernatural lens of vampires entering. And the vampires, who initially the group of vampires, country western white folks, they really are emblematic of the oppression from white people on African Americans during this period of time. And it's I think, enormously clever to use the horror genre, and the movie's a mix of genres. There's a lot of music in it. It's not a classic musical, but it is a musical.
The music is the music scene is amazing.
Fantastic.
The one shot and everything,
And there's a lot of comedy in it, and there's a lot of drama in it, and there's this horror element, although it's certainly not a horror film. But using vampires as a metaphor for white suppression of the African American community in this country, I think, was brilliant. And I'm stunned by how effective it was, and how emotionally powerful it is, and how I never felt like I was watching a horror movie or a vampire movie. I felt like I was watching a movie.
Although it does scare the shit out of you in the beginning. There's a little cut back, and when he's coming in the church, you're like,
yes.
Because I saw it in the theater with you, remember?
Yeah, of course.
And we all jumped.
Yes. And of course, the ending is so smart too.
Yeah.
But the thing is that once the vampires have arrived, the main characters in the cast, who were black, were faced with a choice. They could kind of give in to the vampires and live a life forever with no pain as dead people.
Yeah.
And or they could resist and maybe be destroyed, but stand up for their community and their individuality and their own culture. And it's brilliantly constructed. And I really admire that when I watch films, the construction and the way the author and the director guide us is very interesting to me. And the less I feel it at the time, the less I am aware of how I'm being led, the more effective it is for me. And in the case of Sinners, I was just so enthralled by the movie. It wasn't until later that I reflected on really what I'd seen.
Sure.
And the depth of it, the sociological depth of it.
Yeah.
And the performances were great. So many great performances. I was really pleased, by the way, that in the actor in a supporting role, Delroy Lindo got
I was going to say Delroy Lindo, man.
Yeah.
I love him in Get Shorty, which is one of my favorites.
Great in Get Shorty.
Yeah, this is one of the houses you see hanging off the side of the club. I mean, I could probably do the entire dialogue from Get Shorty.
You could?
Yeah, because when I was in music school and we had the closed circuit like TV, it sounds like prison. But in the dorm rooms, you had the close. So it was they would play movies, and the movies that they were playing were Bowfinger.
Very funny movie.
Hilarious, and Get Shorty. And those two movies made me want to move out to Hollywood. I thought they were the cool. I mean, I'd already thought about it, but I was like, this is looks like the coolest, funnest thing. And I mean, I just loved Get Shorty. I could probably do the whole movie from rote. Maybe even Bowfinger.
I was really impressed by Get Shorty too. And I'm a reader. I like to read, and I've read a lot of Elmore Leonard. And most of the first films I saw that were adaptations of Elmore Leonard were his westerns. He wrote a lot of western novels.
Oh, didn't know that. No.
Oh yeah, Hombre and other movies that.
Oh wow.
A number of cowboy movies were based on his books. But when he got into writing crime, it's so good. The work is so good that I was very suspicious of it being a decent movie. And there had been one or two movies made of his crime novels that I wasn't crazy about. And when I went to see Get Shorty, I was wowed because someone had fully captured the hip, edgy, smart, great dialogue, really interesting characters, fascinating story, and the pace, the whole thing. I mean, it worked. The movie works as well as the book, and that is really a rare thing to say.
Yeah. It's it's directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who I believe also shot it too, because he came up as a cinematographer.
Yeah. I know.
But I just we were talking last week about Warner's. And when they do the pull, and their drones weren't a thing back then, but they have the overhead shot as they're leaving the lot, you know, on Warner's, and all the cars going, and Danny DeVito's character. Oh my goodness, it's like a perfect movie to me. I mean, and James Gandolfini. You know, and I mean, it's just there's so many good characters in
yeah. Well, because that's Elmore Leonard. He doesn't. If a character has more than 3 lines, it's a character that you can recognize on the street. You know what I mean? Yeah. He really has had an unbelievable touch for character, and that movie fully caught it. Oh, and then Dennis Farina. I mean, like, Dennis Farina is great.
And I'm going to Miami next week. I've never been to Miami outside of like going to the airport, going to a hotel, going back to the airport, like going to the location, going to the airport. Like, so I'll be in Miami, but I'm gonna definitely be thinking about that. The best line is when Dennis Farina comes to LA to track down Chili Palmer, and he's in the I was gonna say the Uber. He's in the taxi, and he goes, how about the sun? Or he goes, you know, the beach. We talk about the beach. He goes, I'm from Miami fucking beach, and you want to show me the fucking sun? You want to show me the fucking beach? He's like, how about the sun? Does that ever shine in this town? He goes, the smog is the reason we have such beautiful sunsets here. And he goes, what a bunch of fucking bullshit.
So of these pictures, of the 10 pictures, you've seen Begonia, you've seen One Battle After Another.
Sinners.
You've seen Sinners.
F1.
F1. How did you feel about F1?
Again, went to see it with the same girl. I really liked it. I actually then watched it on the Apple TV. I really liked it. And I've really gotten into Formula One.
Uh-huh.
I think it's a very, very cool sport, crazy. But I was, it was like a dude movie, you know. But it was cool. I liked it too. I thought it was. I mean, I love Javier Bardem. You can probably put him in anything, and I'll watch it. I also love Brad Pitt, and then the guy who played the Formula Dempsey Idris was on Snowfall. Uh-huh. But anyways, that was his big break, which I had no idea because I was watching it going, where's this guy from? Like, why do I know him? But I never really got into Snowfall.
Well, he's very good in F1.
He's really...
I liked the movie a lot. I loved the photography in the cars.
Amazing.
You know, I mean, I really felt like... Well, I can't say I felt like I was driving in the car, but it really does, more than any other racing movie I've ever seen, create and give you a feeling of what it is to be in one of these things.
Well, I mean, I will say, so, you know, Ron Howard directed Rush, which was, I remember because it was shot by the cinematographer Anthony Dodd Mantle, who won for Slumdog Millionaire with Danny Boyle. And they had...
What was his name?
Anthony Dodd Mantle. And he shot a...
Slumdog was an unbelievably great-looking film.
And he shot that, and this was, you know, years ago, but they were basically... They had a camera that was made by a company called Silicon Imaging, which nobody knew they made cameras, and they shot it and they ran everything into a laptop in a backpack so they could run through the streets of Mumbai with this thing. I mean, this was like super innovative for that time because, you know, this was like the birth of digital cinema, right?
Well, I didn't see Rush, so did it capture that experience of driving the same way F1 did?
It was one of the first films to do that because Dodd Mantle was so innovative with what he would do with cameras that they just basically installed cameras in the car. It was a big deal when it came out. I personally liked F1 better. I don't even know what the budget must have been for Rush, but I mean, I think the budget for F1 was like $225 million or something, just bonkers. But anyways, put Javier Bardem in anything.
And I like Brad.
And Brad Pitt. And I cannot
Brad is an actor, though, whose personal persona is so powerful, so strong, that it's very difficult for him to disappear into a role.
Interesting.
It's not a criticism of him. He is really a classic movie star, not because he lacks the talent or ability to be a serious actor. He is a serious actor who's given many really good performances, but his persona is just so strong.
Yeah.
Leo DiCaprio almost suffers from the same thing, except Leo is so committed to playing character, as he does in One Battle After Another, for instance.
Yeah, it's so good.
That he's able to overcome it, but it's tough for him because he too has a very strong persona. Somebody like Timothée Chalamet doesn't have to fight that battle quite as much. So anyhow, I enjoyed watching Brad in F1, and I liked the movie too.
Yeah.
Did you see Frankenstein?
I did.
What'd you think?
I was surprised at how much I liked it.
Yeah.
And I think what is the movie, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, close.
I didn't even notice. I thought it was that good. The guy who plays Frankenstein, whose name escapes
Jacob
me.
Elordi.
That's right, Jacob Elordi. He's fantastic. The visuals are amazing.
Frankenstein, you mean the monster?
Yes, the monster. Yes,
right. Oscar Isaac
plays Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I always get that confused because I always thought the monster.
Everyone associates that. Makes that association.
But the monster, anyways. And of course I have to like watch the after the making of and all of that to see, because I'm just like, were these real worlds that they created on set, and how much of this was practical and how much of this is CGI? And Tower, I remember they were talking about how the tower was like 80 feet, or that they made this, which they blow up and it catches on fire and everything. Mm-hmm. But just the way that they design these, movies are amazing. We talked about Avatar. Fire and ice, or
Fire
and Ash. Again, one of those films that you just watch these crafts, these creations, and it's
compelling.
What is happening?
Overwhelming, entertaining.
What is happening here?
I think Guillermo del Toro is not my favorite filmmaker. I liked The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
I liked a number of his films.
Hellboy.
And I very much like Frankenstein. Still, it doesn't reach me. His films don't reach me as much as some other directors do. But I thought this one was a triumph of skill. And of course, Oscar Isaac. We've had an experience with Oscar Isaac.
Sure.
And which we can tell the story of someday.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of Oscar Isaac, and I thought he was. I thought he went all the way as far as he could in creating this egomaniacal mad scientist. And Jacob Elordi, as you said, was really outstanding. My fiancée, Daniela, really likes Jacob Elordi. I think many people, and she very much among them, is really looking forward to Wuthering Heights.
Yes.
Which is coming out with Jacob and Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, yeah.
And, it's such a dramatic story. Of course, I love the Laurence Olivier version of that. But I'm really looking forward to this. And it'll be a kind of a Valentine's Day release, and I think it'll do very well. And I'm told, I've read, as I'm sure you have too, and it may be true, I don't think it's decided yet, but that Jacob Elordi, at the moment, at any rate, is very high, if not at the top of the list, to become the next James Bond.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah. He's tall, like Sean Connery.
Right.
And, he might be terrific, although he's Australian, I believe. But so what? He can play. Sean Connery was not at all what Ian Fleming had written as James Bond, and yet he perfectly he created exactly the character Ian Fleming had written, even though he still spoke with a bit of a Scottish accent and not the ultimate British accent that I think Ian Fleming had imagined. Still, he was so convincing in his whole approach to the role, and I'm sure Jacob Elordi could be too. Although I was sorry that Idris Elba didn't get that gig.
Yeah.
Maybe he's too old, but I think Idris Elba would have been a great James Bond.
What was it like seeing James Bond for the first time?
It was really astonishing because I was a teenager, and I was reading, I just had a flash memory. I was reading James Bond books at that time. They're very easy to read. And so I thought, wow, we get to see him in a movie. And then it was just so smooth, so cool. And he was the male ideal of the time. When you look at the early Bond films, Connery's Bond films now, they're not really dated. The filmmaking techniques are pretty good and the stories are good. But the attitude about masculinity is so out of date and has been so deeply impacted by the emergence of the women's liberation movement to begin with, and the development of the role of women in our culture, which I applaud and encourage, and I'm very happy about. So the James Bond attitude toward women, one in every port, or 2 or 3 per movie, doesn't play very well. But I think that one of the biggest laughs I've ever had in my life. I don't remember exactly my age, maybe 14. Maybe 15, sort of just post-pubescent,
Yeah.
Reading, and I don't even remember which book this occurs in. It's in the movie, the character's in the movie. Not Goldfinger, I'm not sure. But there's a scene on a plane. Bond has been knocked out and put on a plane against his will, captured by the bad guys, something. And as he wakes up, he sees this beautiful woman. And she says to him, "I'm pussy galore." Now, this is a very juvenile joke, for sure. But I laughed I still laugh at it, decades later. I'm pussy galore.
But was that in the book?
That was the tone. Yeah, it was in the book. That was the tone of those novels. And it's not acceptable today.
Yeah, not really.
No. But Collier, I mean, it was funny to a little 14-year-old boy who was sort of didn't know much about sex.
Yeah, for sure.
And would giggle at any kind of dirty reference. It was unbelievable to me that someone had been bold enough, outrageous enough to put that in the dialogue in a novel. So it was, so it was misleading in the sense that, to answer your question, it was misleading in the sense that it created an image of masculinity that, first of all, was next to impossible to live up to if you wanted to live up to it. And second of all, is really not an image that functioned well in society. It wasn't good for women. Even though the films were very popular with women, they weren't just guys' movies.
Yeah.
They were very popular with women. And Sean Connery, of course, became a megastar.
Yeah. How did so obviously they changed, they adapted with the times.
Well, it took them quite a while because when Roger Moore took over, it was still the same ultra urbane ladies' man character.
Okay.
I liked him. And he was fun to watch, and I had liked his television series, The Saint, which was later remade as a not very good movie with Val Kilmer. Not very good movie, although a pretty good director, and it had Val, who I thought was very good, but the script wasn't working well, in my opinion. But Roger Moore had played the Saint on television for multiple years, and that had impressed me enough so that the very first car I got was a Volvo P1800, the car he drove on the television show The Saint.
Interesting.
it's not like I had that much of a choice. It was available, it was affordable, and I got it. But I was thrilled because it was the Saints car. However, as Bond, and he did a lot of films, he was the same ladies' man character that Sean Connery had played, but without quite the restraint that Sean Connery had had. He was very popular as Bond, but there was something a little bit more refined about Connery than Roger Moore. I had the good fortune to meet both of these guys on numerous occasions, and in life, Roger Moore was every bit as refined as Sean Connery, probably more so. But on camera, as Bond, it came off a little differently. Then when the world was changing, the Broccolis, Barbara Broccoli and her half-brother, I guess, is who he is, began to shift. And when they had a couple of Bonds that were, by the time Pierce Brosnan was doing it, it wasn't quite as girl-chasing as it had been previously. And it was more action. The action became increasingly emphasized. And Pierce Brosnan was, I think, eager to do action. You know, with Connery and Roger Moore, there was action, but it wasn't like we've grown accustomed to. And then by the time Daniel Craig came along, and I think he was an outstanding,
he was great,
outstanding Bond.
Yeah, it's great.
It really was all about action, and not about pussy galore any longer. It was about, you know, he would have a relationship. He had a relationship. He was married. He got married, and then the death of his wife haunted him through the next film. You know, he wasn't running around. He was an action star, and that's what it had become. Where it will go now, how it will evolve, I don't know, because the Broccolis have sold it. And Amy Pascal is now one of the people that will be guiding the film. And I don't believe that they made a final choice on who's going to be the next Bond. But a lot of people have been talked about, and Jacob Elordi is definitely one of them. So we'll see.
A roundabout way to talk about Jacob Elordi, but it was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I never really watched the Sean Connery Bonds. I came into it when it was Pierce Brosnan, you know, and I was like, so that was my concept of Bond.
You know, they're on
action.
Is it Prime Video or Netflix that has them all now?
I'm sure they're one of those. I'm sure
one of the stations has all of the Bond films, and you should just check out Sean Connery. I think you'll be surprised, pleasantly surprised. They're fun films to watch, and in the '60s. They were pretty adventurous.
Yeah.
So back to Guillermo del Toro and Frankenstein. I think Jacob Elordi is very good in it. Oscar Isaac is very good in it. And the scale of it is great. What I loved about the film most is the depiction of the creature. It's not what the entire world has come to expect after many versions of Frankenstein. Del Toro depicts the creature, I think, more as he was written, which is kind of as a lost soul, you know, not a monster at all. And I liked that about the film, particularly. And of course, all the effects, production design, all the technical stuff, as always with a Del Toro film, was superb. The highest level. Highest
crazy.
Level. Have you seen Hamnet?
No.
I don't want to dwell on this. I made a light reference to it last time.
You did.
I'm not a big fan of Hamnet. I'm a big fan of Chloe Zhao. Nomadland from 2021. She won Best Picture with that. She Best Director, Best Actress, Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
It's a superb film, and she's done other good films too. The Rider, and Marvel used her for a film. But The Eternals, I think, was the Marvel
Eternals.
film.
Yeah.
But I was an actor for a long time. We've never talked about this. Before I produced film, I was an actor for a long time. And I was interested, when I was young, I wasn't interested in doing movies or TV. I think because I didn't think I could make it. I wasn't good looking enough. And I wanted to be a stage actor, and my heroes were that generation older than me that I looked up to: Alan Bates, Tom Courtenay, Albert Finney, those British actors, that group of actors. And I went to LAMDA. I auditioned and then was accepted at LAMDA, which is the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. And it's British training. And then I came back to the States, and I worked on the stage for a long, long time. And I did quite a number of productions of Shakespeare, 8 or 9 different plays. And I did Hamlet twice, both times playing one of the worst roles in the canon. I played Laertes. Okay. Once was in college, and once was in a New York production. And but I've read a lot about Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I read the plays. I still read them sometimes. I've read numerous biographies. I know all about the controversy, the Oxfordians and the Stratfordians. The Oxfordians are people who believe that Shakespeare did not write the plays himself, but that they were written by a man named Edward de Vere, who was the Earl of Oxford. And people who believe that and follow this theory call themselves Oxfordians. And then there are those who believe that Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare's plays, and they are called the Stratfordians because he's from Stratford-on-Avon. And without going into that controversy, I'm just saying that's something I've read a lot about, and I've read a lot about the nature of productions at the Globe Theatre in the late 16th and early 17th century when he was writing and producing plays. So I know something about the style of acting that existed then. Everyone knows, I think, that women were not permitted on stage. So all the female roles, Lady Macbeth, other great roles, Ophelia in Hamlet, Gertrude, Hamlet's mother, all played by men.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other elements of Shakespearean acting that were pretty consistent and predictable, and people know about them. So I felt that I have a couple problems with Hamnet. Much as I love Chloe Zhao, and as popular as I know the novel was, I felt the mechanics of this movie more than I wanted to. I felt the manipulation of seeing the child who dies and getting to know him, and then being
rug pulled.
What?
Rug pulled.
Rug pulled out from under you regarding him. And I know that the movie is a study of grief. And I think Chloe Zhao achieved what she wanted to achieve, which is really to communicate grief. But she did it in that manipulative way that I thought was very transparent. And then she ends with a scene from the original production of Hamlet that is performed in a way so utterly contrary to the way that it would have been performed, which specifically it's more emotional and more contemporary and more methody in the acting than would have been permitted or recognized or accepted in the day. And had it been done in a more classic way, in the way it would have been less emotional out front, but in my opinion, more powerful emotionally. because it wouldn't have been sort of pushing the emotion so hard. But I have to say, I'm the only one I know who thinks this. Everyone else disagrees with me. And including Daniela and the other people that I went to see it with. I saw it with an Academy Award-winning editor, and he disagreed with me entirely. Everyone loves Hamnet, and it has a chance at the Oscars, and I understand why. I really do, because Chloe Zhao is successful in creating that sense of grief and our empathy for the deepest possible grief. I think that's what she was after. I think she got it. I have a problem with the way she got it. But again, I'm the only one with that problem. And I think there's an element of me having a stick up my ass about this regarding Shakespeare. That's the truth. Anyway.
That makes sense.
You know, Marty Supreme we've talked about. You know.
We have.
Yeah. Very well done. Listen, I love the Safdie brothers. Josh Safdie directed this. His brother Benny directed the current film, The Smashing Machine.
Yeah.
You know, and
that was only nominated for one.
Yeah.
Did you think that Dwayne Johnson would have been nominated? Did you think his performance was strong in that?
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like Dwayne Johnson. He's fun to watch.
Oh, I love the guy.
I admire him trying to stretch himself creatively. I think he did. I think he did stretch himself creatively, and I admire that. And it was very watchable. Is it on the level of Leo DiCaprio or
no.
Michael B. Jordan or Timothée Chalamet?
Michael B. Jordan is fantastic. Is absolutely amazing.
Michael B. Jordan is absolutely amazing. That's for sure. But anyway, on Marty Supreme, directed by Josh, his brother directed Uncut Gems, a very strong movie, and has cut the Smashing Machine. But this movie it has a realism and a power that almost reminds me of Marty Scorsese.
Interesting.
And it is. It's a protracted narrative. It's a long movie, complicated. I mean, really a fundamentally simple story, but with lots of little complications in it. Character sketches that are very powerful. A lot of good performances. Odessa Azion. I don't know how to really, if that's the right way to say it, but and Chalamet and Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank,
which I think is great.
Yeah, and he's terrific in it. He's terrific, and apparently now wants to be an actor.
I thought he already was one.
Well, he can fund his own movies, that's for sure. I think it would be very smart for you and I to go on Shark Tank and pitch a film and saying, funnily enough, it's a great part for you.
It's a great part for you. It'd be fantastic.
I think maybe we're the 900th person who's thought of that. One battle we talked about, although we haven't really talked about the nature of the film and the sociological and philosophical aspect of this film. And
it's very powerful.
It's very powerful.
I mean, look, the times are...
It seems to me that the title, it really is what the title says. For one thing, there is one action bit after another in this movie. Yeah. And it's kind of nonstop. But it's also generationally true. Yeah. That the battles we fight, the battles my generation fought, the ideals we espoused, some of them we were successful. We were successful in focusing attention so that the nation could change. The women's liberation movement, the civil rights movement. Yeah. My generation stood up very, very strongly for that. Yeah. But what really we ultimately aspired to is the John Lennon, idea of love, and peace, and what the hippies sought, and this collapsed, in our own minds as we aged. Things got real, and we had to get practical, and we became parents, and this movie sets that up because it starts with a very much like a Weather Underground style group.
Yeah.
The Weather Underground being a real organization from the 60s that would now be characterized as domestic terrorists.
Yeah, for sure.
And then what happens to the people who were populating that movement, Leo DiCaprio playing the main character of that, but how some carry on and some change, and how cycles occur, and that generationally, one after the other, we raise our hopes, our expectations, we do what we can, we kind of collapse.
Yeah.
Our children come along and move things forward with a sense of distance and sometimes puzzlement about what we were doing. And, it's just a very strong movie, very, very strong movie.
And I just think, the thing that really resonated with me, it's sort of like when I saw Begonia, I kind of was like, oh boy, there's these, I come from a very small town in the Midwest, and I am aware of a lot more realities that exist behind these sort of things than we do in Los Angeles, right? Which is why I wanted to move out here. And the sort of, trying to be very careful here, not to alienate anyone, but like the obsessions that you get into when you live in a microcosm or a vacuum of your own belief system. Now, whether that's, a belief system that is, promulgated by organized religion, or just plain old, just racism, or just entitlement, I think watching Begonia, and I thought, oh, here we're going down this road, and then you go in one battle after another, and you see this very altruistic, and not, as you said, they would be classified as domestic terrorists now. Like, not what they're doing is anything that is great. Is it also endangering people? But then you have people like the Christmas Adventurer Club, that people actually exist that believe these things and that are so fundamental in it, and it's just I find things like that a little terrifying.
Yeah.
And
the Christmas Club in one battle after another.
Christmas Adventurers Club
is terrifying.
And what is scarier to me is the character of Sean Penn, who becomes so obsessed with being a part of that group that he will stop at nothing, to his own detriment, and to the resources and the resources, including the lives of other people that are in his power, that
or
he
that
has
he
influence
supposedly adores.
Or exactly. But the zealotous nature is with which he goes towards this sort of ideal that he believes that he needs to belong to, is just it's just insane.
Deeply disturbing and terrifying.
Yes.
And you've just explained exactly why I like him so much.
He's amazing.
For the Oscar of Best Supporting Actor.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And it goes against everything you'd ever know Sean Penn to be about.
What?
It goes against everything that you would know Sean Penn to be about.
Everything. It's, and also...
Talk about getting lost in a character.
It's unlike any character he's ever played.
Yeah.
And of course, it's totally unlike who he is or what we know about who he is as a person. I don't know Sean Penn, but I know a lot about him because he's very public. And again, I'm not permitted by the Academy to say who I'm going to vote for. But I look at the list of actors in a supporting role, which I believe I said last time, and if I didn't, let me say it now. I think it's one of the most difficult to predict categories in the Oscars. I mean, the nominees are Benicio del Toro for One Battle, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo for Sinners, Sean Penn, and Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
This is a really tough category.
Yeah, all of whom gave
any one of those performances deserves an Oscar, in my opinion. They're not going to give out 5, but they're all exceptional. To me, Sean Penn has a monumental impact, but I love every other performance. You know,
and in One Battle, the car chase scene at the end was just
up and down the hills, you mean?
Yeah. And I just watched a Variety, you know, is doing all these they do all these little videos about this, but they interviewed the cinematographer, cannot remember his name. But they were discussing that scene. They shot it in like 10 minutes. Or something like.
How could they? Because it's longer than that.
Because it was the stretch of the highway that they were on. It's a very popular area with traffic, so they can only block off for like 10 minutes at a time. I can't remember exactly how much time they had, but it was not long. And they had cameras, and they're also shooting on 70 millimeter film, and those cameras are not designed to be rigged to a car. So they were just
because they're large,
massive, and they're delicate and going up and down these hills. But the scene is it's absolutely incredible, and it is it's just. They're shooting in VistaVision.
The next film is The Secret Agent, the Brazilian film starring Wagner Moura, a terrific actor, who won the Golden Globe.
Yeah, he did.
For Best Actor in a Drama. It's a political film, but you don't feel the politics of the film really until increasingly through the movie, it builds more and more. Yeah, she looks like she went over for a drink of water.
Yeah, she's a little drink. She's got a little snack.
Why not? We've been chatting for a while.
Life is good.
You know, she's been relaxing. And Wagner Moura is outstanding in the movie, and it's a very it's elegant in its simplicity. This film. With quite memorable characters who are gathered in a hotel or a short-term residence where he's staying. And they share in common a bit of a disaffection from the government, because it's set in Brazil during the worst period in that nation's history and the most repressive. So it bears connection to some of the other films this year in that sense. And I think it's a very strong movie, and I enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anyone. I don't think it can compete on a level with the other Best Picture nominees, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Much as I enjoyed the film and respect it. Then comes Sentimental Value. Sentimental Value.
You sent me a picture today of you and Stellan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Stellan, you know, he wanted to get a photo, so I said sure.
You said sure, yeah, exactly.
Sentimental Value is it's a very powerful, emotional film about family, really. And it looks at generational dysfunction, father to children, and it has empathy on both sides. Father who is very preoccupied with his work and didn't relate as well to his children, or as much to his children as they would have wanted. And one of them has entered into his business and been a huge success. And still they are alienated. They can't even use that commonality of interest and career to connect. And the film has some really strong performances. Stellan Skarsgård himself as the father, 2 Norwegian actresses as his daughters, and Elle Fanning the American actress, of course, in another significant role. The two Norwegian actresses are both nominated for the Academy Award, as is Stellan Skarsgård. The actress nominated for Best Actress is, and I'm not good pronouncing Norwegian names, but it's Renate Reinsve, or something similar to that.
Yeah, got it.
She was outstanding just a few years ago in another film, same director, Joachim Trier, I don't even know how to say his name, but called The Worst Person in the World. And she had won the Best Actress at Cannes. I think it was 2021 or maybe 2021, I think. She's a wonderful actress, and she plays the elder daughter who has entered the same profession as her father and yet cannot connect with him. In fact, she feels particularly disaffected from him. The younger daughter, played by an actress named, and again, forgive me, I apologize to you, Inga. Her name is Inga Ibsdotter Liljas, or something like that. And she plays the younger sister, younger daughter, and is very powerful. And Elle Fanning, who's not nominated, although she had been nominated as supporting actor, I think, by some critics' awards groups. Elle Fanning is also outstanding. So you have really 4 terrific performances in this movie. And it is the performances, in my opinion, that make this movie as good as it is. The screenplay itself, very interesting. The direction, very nicely done. A whole world created pretty much primarily in one location, a house. They go outside of it, but that's the primary location. And you really, it's very well done, it's well directed. The generational dysfunction, pretty clear. We have empathy on both sides with all the characters. But it's really the performances that elevate sentimental value. And I like the movie very much. And I'm a big fan of Stellan Skarsgård and have been since I first discovered him in the early mid-90s. I think it was 95 when he did a movie, same director. Oh, was it same director? Anyway, called Breaking the Waves. Breaking the Waves, because have you ever seen this movie, Collier?
No.
Oh, very emotionally powerful. It's about a couple, he and Emily Watson, you know, the British actress. They're married, they're happy. He has an accident, he becomes incapacitated, crippled from the way, he can't move from the waist down. And she loves him very much, his wife, and he encourages her to have sex with other men.
Oh, yes. I know this movie.
And it's wrenching to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not a woman, but I have the feeling it's more wrenching for a man. A woman might say just the opposite, because her dilemma is so great. She's young, she's a sexual being, she's in love, she was making love to her husband, now she can't. That impulse is still in her. So I guess a woman watching this would be able to identify with that very strongly. For me, I identified with the man, and that was Stellan Skarsgård. And but he was already a very established actor in Norway. I think he'd done lots of stuff before that movie.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware of him until then. And I've watched him ever since. And I've been lucky to meet him and happy and you know, I think highly of him. And as you said, you have a picture of the two of us together.
I do. You said it today.
Anyhow, with respect to Best Picture, I think it's the cast that elevates the movie. Sinners, we've talked about. And Train Dreams, I think we referenced vaguely before. It's based on a novel. The novel's very popular. It's very bucolic. It's very slow moving.
I haven't had any interest in watching it.
it's, you know,
It was a Netflix film, right? Didn't they do it?
I don't know. It's lovely. It's touching. It's sad at moments and yet uplifting ultimately. But all in a kind of a moderate scale. And I don't think, I admire the film, I like it, but I like others, I don't think it fully comes up to the level of competing with the best of the films nominated. That's my rundown on them. We talked about how good Begonia was. We didn't talk about the fact that it is a spectacular takedown of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody knows. You probably know it's a story of a top level executive who's kidnapped by a conspiracy theorist, two of them, and
well, really one.
One
because as many conspiracy theorists are, they find their prey
acolytes,
and they indoctrinate them into their way of thinking. And
he has indoctrinated his acolyte.
Yes,
but he confronts Emma, plays the executive, and Jesse Plemons plays the conspiracy theorist, and they have really extremely well written confrontations with each other, where he is not an idiot. This is not a stupid person. This is a person with an enormous amount of information that he has sought out and studied and memorized, and facts and figures that he can hurl at her in a way that might be convincing to some audience members.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not an idiot, this guy.
No.
It's not some kind of, no, he's a conspiracy theorist, but, you know, with study behind it. And she has to refute them and then talk about, it's just the dynamic is so powerful. And then the movie turns into something entirely else that you really don't see coming.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
And beautifully acted. And again, like Sentimental Value, the acting elevates this movie. Although I think Begonia, the script, is much more unique than the script of Sentimental Value.
Yeah. Because
I've seen family stories before and similar stories, as well done as Sentimental Value is, and it's well written. But it's in a genre of film I've seen before. I've never seen anything like Begonia. This is my take on the nominees for Best Picture at the upcoming Academy Awards.
And there you have it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Movie Talk Podcast.
I'm John Morrissey.
And I'm Collier Landry. We'll see you on the next one.